What's going on, guys? It's Salvaje and I'm back at it again with another Fortnite Save the World video, and this is more of an opinion piece. You know, just a couple of thoughts that I want to point out when it comes down to Fortnite Save the World, because there's a lot of misconceptions about Save the World that honestly trigger me, that piss me off. And the reason for that is because it's adding a lot of negativity that isn't really there when it comes down to Save the World. I don't want someone that's trying to get into Save the World to not get Save the World because all of these terrible negative lies that are out there when it comes down to Save the World, right? And just a little bit of information about me if you're new around here. I'm a power level 117 player. I have a second Save the World account that, you know, I'm literally progressing through in my Fortnite Save the World University video, so I can, you know, teach new players and intermediate players how to maximize their experience. And most importantly, I have created 100 Save the World tip videos. So in other words, I know a thing or two about Save the World. I've been playing it for a long time. So I just want to talk about the first thing, you know, that's always brought up when it comes down to Save the World: trading. Trading is bad, and honestly this has become like a bandwagon thing in Fortnite Save the World. Literally every time that I make a Save the World video, there's an 80% chance that someone's going to be commenting something about trading and how trading is bad. Like I said, I've been playing Save the World for a long time. I have never ever gotten scammed, ever. All right, and I used to trade a lot, you know, when I first got into Save the World. For example, let's say that I needed a specific material. You know, I would go into a lobby, I would ask this player, hey man, like, you got some of this material, you know, if you want I can give you some fibrous herbs for it. You know, this person would drop his materials, I would pick them up, then I would give them my fibrous herbs. However, I guess you could say is that one of the reasons why I have never gotten scammed is because I have this thing called common sense, something that apparently a lot of Save the World players don't have. If you don't want to get scammed in Fortnite Save the World, it's pretty simple. You go by what I like to call Salvaje's rule, which is not even my rule in the first place. But long story short, if someone wants to trade with me, they give me what I want first, and then I give them what they want. And if they don't want to do that, then it's okay. We just don't trade, because at the end of the day, you don't need to trade in Fortnite Save the World. You got your own schematics, you know, you got your own things that of course you can have for yourself. So trading is basically just sort of something that's there to kind of help you out, right? Most importantly, another reason why I've never gotten scammed trading in Fortnite Save the World is because I don't just trade with anyone. You know, there has been time in Fortnite Save the World where I give the other person, you know, that wants to trade something that they want, and then they give me something that they want. But again, I haven't gotten scammed because I have common sense, right? You know, if I see someone that has a weapon that I like, you know, I try to become friends with them. You know, we play a couple of games, we get to know each other a little bit. Then after a couple of games, I'm like, hey man, you know, I saw that you have a Noble launcher. Like, do you think you could, you know, craft me a Noble launcher if I give you the materials? Or, you know, maybe I give you a weapon that I have and, you know, you give me a weapon that you have. It's just a two-way street. And again, never ever have gotten scammed. Trade with your friends. You know, don't trade with someone that's just randomly asking you to trade. And if you do want to trade with that person in the first place, just go by Salvaje's rule, you know. He gives you what you want, and then you give him what he wants. And if not, don't trade. You know, there's a lot of weapons that some of my friends have that I don't have leveled up. And guess what? You know, sometimes they give me, you know, those weapons that they have, and I give them weapons that I have, right? Because they want it. Again, not really a terrible, you know, sort of perspective when it comes down to trading. In fact, trading actually gives us the ability to test out new weapons with different perks, etc., etc. The only reason why trading is this quote-unquote negative bandwagon thing in Fortnite Save the World is because of these terrible scammer get scammed YouTube channels that aren't even legit in the first place. And that's one of the biggest things that triggers me when it comes down to Save the World. The fact that one of the most popular channels in Save the World is a guy that literally makes scripted videos. Funny story, actually. I had a friend of mine, he's like 7 years old. Long story short, his mom lets him play Fortnite Save the World and Battle Royale. And I asked him, do you think scammer get scammed videos are real? And he legit said yes. It's not. All right. If you're a new Save the World player, if you're trying, you know, if you're thinking about getting Save the World, look, scammer get scammed videos, they're not real. They're all set up. It's all staged. All right. It's literally just done to get views and to honestly point something out in Save the World that isn't even there in the first place. Every single time that I played Save the World, when I was a beginner, intermediate player, and even an advanced player, every single mission that I go into, everyone is mostly being helpful. And only about 97% of the time, I actually find some assholes in Fortnite Save the World. For the most part, my Save the World experience is amazing. Let's say that, you know, someone in my mission is asking for some char black mineral powder. You know, I have a couple of char black mineral powder left. I'm going to drop him some char black mineral powder. Let's talk about the early game though, right? Because a lot of people say, oh, there's a lot of toxic people in the end game. Is there though? Or is there a lot of new players that want to improve and want to help each other out as much as possible? Because that's what I experienced, you know, when I first got Save the World. And that's what I'm experiencing right now on my Fortnite Save the World account, as I'm literally doing, again, a walkthrough to teach new players every single thing they need to do to maximize their experience. Every time that I was in a low power level mission, when I was a low power level, I would see a high power level player. I would be like, hey man, you know, could you give me some nuts and bolts, or could you give me some of these materials? And maybe, you know, they couldn't give me some nuts and bolts, but sometimes they would give me a weapon. Sometimes they would give me the thing that I was asking for, and sometimes they would give me like weapons that I didn't even ask for as well. And as I experienced that in Fortnite Save the World, I also learned that I had to pay it forward. The other day, I was in a mission, and I have about 3,000, 4,000 Malachite right now, because I do a lot of expeditions. And if you want to know how to maximize your expeditions, by the way, I have a 6-minute video that tells you how to get the most out of your expeditions. That's going to be linked in the Fortnite Quick Tips playlist. But long story short, you know, I saw these 2 Candy Valley players. I saw them on Candy Valley. We were doing a mission. And guess what? You know, they asked for Malachite. So I gave both of these players 400 Malachite in total. They're not going to need Malachite anytime soon. Probably never, honestly, because, you know, I paid it forward. So that's just one thing that I want to point out. You know, another thing that I want to point out is the massive community that sort of has this negative mindset and mentality on Fortnite Save the World. And mostly all of those people come from the Fortnite Save the World subreddit. And it pains me to say that. But when I first got into Fortnite Save the World, I wanted to, you know everything about Fortnite Save the World. I wanted to see many discussions on Fortnite Save the World. So I joined, of course, the Save the World Discord. The Save the World subreddit. I quickly realized, however, that the moderators on this Save the World subreddit do a terrible job at managing their posts, because 70% of the posts in the Fortnite Save the World subreddit are people complaining about AFKers, or people complaining about specific players that they don't stand, with no actual feedback, with no things that actually inspire discussion. Most of the discussions on that subreddit, about 70% of the time, sometimes maybe even 85% of the time, are about the negative things that are plaguing Save the World. In fact, I made a post in the Fortnite Save the World not too long ago, and I was, you know, pointing out how there's so many positive players out there, and so many people actually agreed. But the truth is that that post didn't really get a lot of traction. And the reason why it didn't get a lot of traction is because of all of the players out there that just have a magnifying glass on the negative aspects of Fortnite Save the World. You see, when you have 200,000 people part of a community, and the majority of these people are always complaining about that one time, that one day that they experience a negative experience with a Save the World player or an AFK player, well, obviously you start thinking, oh my god, if 70% of the posts are telling me that there's AFKers and terrible people in Fortnite Save the World, well, guess what? You're going to have a community that is going to be growing within a mindset of actually thinking that there's no such thing as good Save the World players out there. But the truth is, there are a ton of amazing, positive Save the World players out there that are a part of the community. So many people on that Save the World subreddit has such a terrible mindset on Save the World that, you know, you just can't really have a good time scrolling through that subreddit. Even a lot of really successful Save the World YouTubers such as David, Dean, and Letana have pointed out a ton of times how negative that Save the World subreddit can be, and yet the moderators failed to actually moderate that subreddit. As I scroll through the Fortnite Battle Royale subreddit, for example, don't get me wrong, there's a couple of negative posts out there, but you're having a good time, you're seeing people point out clips, people are actually having some pretty decent discussions on some things that they, you know, like and dislike about the game. Maybe there's an item people can't stand, you know, people are having actual discussions on how they can improve that item. But the Fortnite Save the World subreddit just doesn't do that. And quite honestly, despite the fact that I'm sometimes active on that subreddit, I'm actually unsubscribed from that subreddit, and I manually go to visit it because I don't want to start my day by logging into Reddit and then just start seeing a lot of people complaining about AFKers. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. AFK players. Are they actually a big problem in Fortnite Save the World? Are you wondering that if you want to get into Fortnite Save the World? I can definitely tell you that AFKers are not a big of an issue as people make it out to be. And like I said, guys, I've been playing Save the World for a pretty decent amount of time. Power level 117, you don't just get that by playing one day for a couple of hours. All right, I mean, Save the World is literally my job. I make money out of playing Fortnite Save the World, I guess you could say, right? And about 90% of the missions that I go into, not even 90%, I will probably say about 97, 96% of the missions that I go into, I never see AFK players. People are always trying to do something. People are always trying to help out in the mission in some sort of way. And sometimes you have people that, you know, don't sort of cooperate to the mission as much as possible, but then you sort of ask them why they haven't been doing it, and then they tell you, oh, I've been working on a quest, I've been doing a daily, you know, I just don't really, you know, want to waste a lot of the durability of my weapon. Oh, you know, like I'm just eating, so I'm not going to be super active. But yet they are still trying to do their best to contribute to the mission. I made a post on the Save the World subreddit a couple of months back, and I was talking about that one day. That's right, I had a day where I had 12 AFKers in a row for 12 matches in a row. And you know, instead of going over there and complaining about those all of those AFKers, I actually talked about, I formed a discussion. You know, I was talking about how an endorsement system, like an honoring system, I guess you could say, would help out Fortnite Save the World. And that day, a lot of the people agreed, you know what, that would be really amazing. It would make a big difference. And a lot of the people in that discussion also agreed AFK players aren't really as much of a big deal as some people make it out to be in the Save the World community. They really aren't. And I can easily tell you guys that about 95% of the AFK players that I meet them all in V-Buck missions. Why? Because they're mostly Battle Royale players that just want to get free V-Bucks without putting in the work. However, every single other mission that is not a V-Buck mission, it is extremely hard for me to find a player that it's AFKing. And with that said, guys, those are, you know, some of the Fortnite Save the World misconceptions that I just cannot stand, alright? Scamming isn't a huge problem as people make it out to be in Fortnite Save the World, and chances are that if you get scammed, it's because you traded with someone that it was extremely shady, and it's probably your own fault. Alright, and also if you don't want to get scammed, just go with Salvaje's rule. You know, you give me what I want first, and then I give you what you want. It's just as simple as that. And last but not least, make sure that you stop taking out this magnifying glass on all of the negative things that Save the World has, and actually start taking a look at all the positive things that Save the World has. There's a lot of supportive players in Save the World, a lot of players that are willing to help each other out, and a lot of players that do not AFK. Anyways, despite the fact that there are, you know, a ton of negative people that only like to focus on the negative side of things in the Fortnite Save the World Discord server, I kind of get where they're coming from. They're frustrated. They care about the game. They want to have a good time. But just putting a magnifying glass on negativity without actually recognizing the positivity, without actually realizing that it isn't as bad as people make it out to be, is something that shouldn't go unsaid. And that's why I wanted to make this video, okay? If you guys enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and subscribe to join the Salvaje Cartel, and let me know about your positive experiences playing Fortnite Save the World in the comment sections below.